Hey everyone, Jason here in another episode of Sports Bus. Right now, I'm going to give my thoughts on the Olympic hockey, primarily focusing on the United States men and women's team. Give my thoughts on their performances and my overall thoughts on the Olympic hockey for the future. All right, so let's start with the women's game since that was yesterday on Thursday. Um, in Sochi, Russia. That was the gold medal game between the United States and Canada. United States had the lead in the game for about 55 minutes, 2-0 lead, and that within a 4 minute span lost that and ended up losing 2-1 2-1 in overtime. Um, to the Canadian team. The big play, obviously, I was able to see the highlights. I actually, unfortunately, forgot the game was on, so I didn't see it live. But I did see the highlights. Did see a lot of reaction late. After the game, the United States women there was an open net at the end of the game, and the puck was about 2 inches away from going in the net, hit the post, rolled out or rolled away, and it did not go into the net. So that would have made it 3-1. Of course, then the women lost in overtime at 2-1 to Canada. This is kind of a defeating blow for the women's team. Obviously, they were um, outscoring everyone else in the tournament by a lot. I believe a couple games before that, they outshot their opponents 70-9. So that's kind of obviously a big defeat, as I had just said. As far as the future of the Canadian women's hockey in general, both Canadian and U.S. and going forward, and there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of opinions thrown out there that they should take away the Olympic women's hockey because it always seems to be the United States and Canada, and the rest of the pool is not very deep. And people think they should take that away. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I can definitely see that because of a lot of the other countries. If you look at like the top 3 or 4 teams, I mean 5 teams, a lot of those teams don't play hockey necessarily, and so they're representing their countries and trying to put the best team they can, and they're just not stacked. Like the Canadian and U.S. teams. So I think ultimately, if they wanted to, they could take away the women's hockey for maybe a period of 4 to 8 years, and if they really wanted to, and bring it back, let the talent pool for the other countries kind of ripen and just get to their top level again. But I think ultimately it is good that the women's have the hockey because it draws female fans into the game, both in general because of the men's hockey in the NHL, and because they recognize a women's hockey player or whatnot, and they just want to see what it's about, see how physical teams are and whatnot. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do in the future there. In general, though, I will say this, and I did not mention this yet. I enjoy the Winter Olympic hockey the best. I think even out of the NHL. I'm a pretty big NHL fan. I've like to think I follow every team in the NHL fairly, although I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan. But yeah, I like it because it's more pure. And by this I mean there's no fighting really allowed. I mean, obviously there is brush ups in the game. There is arguments. Your adrenaline gets pumping. There is pushing and shoving, but there is no, like the NHL kind of they build their game around fighting, and they kind of advocate fighting by only giving it anywhere between a 2 and a 5 minute penalty. I believe it's 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know this off the top of my head, but. So this is what the NHL, what the Olympics offer. They offer a pure game. The ice is bigger, a lot more action, a lot more hitting, just national pride. Obviously, the players do not get paid to play in the Olympics. It's just for national pride. Before I get on to the men's game, which just ended about, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes ago here, I want to give my thoughts on the men's side. Um, it was rumored before the Olympics, before the teams were actually announced earlier this year, beginning January 1st, that the NHL, the men's teams, that are primarily made at the NHL, will not be coming back to Sochi, will not be playing in these Olympics, and and Alexander Ovechkin, the Canadian kind of, or no, the Russian face of the franchise there, basically said, no, we want to go play. We want the NHL to be in there, kind of draw the fans and whatnot. And so I found that very interesting that there was a possibility, because if you look at it, I mean, obviously you can say things about injuries to the NHL players. There was an injury yesterday. Islanders center, I think it was John Tavares, if I'm not mistaken, is out for the year now. I believe he tore his ACL, MCL in that game. He will be out for the year. Although the Islanders are not, a top tier team that you think about, when you think about the NHL, you think about the Blackhawks, you think about the Red Wings, you think about a lot of original six teams now and whatnot, a lot of the superpowers. But I mean, still, it's a blow because the fans of the Islanders, fans of the NHL, and fantasy hockey is a scoring leader, third in the league, so it's a blow. Too, and that's one side why I think that it's good that the NHL maybe doesn't go back to the Olympics in future years, but it's also bad because it is drawing people away from the sport, and that's one thing I think the NHL needs to build back up. I remember in 2006, I believe when they first came back from the strike in 2005, it took them a while to get back to where they were before this most recent strike a couple years ago, and they're still trying to recover from that. And you can say whatever you want about Gary Bettman and that. But I just think, as far as a positive, it brings fans into the games. Merchandising sales are likely to go up, especially the United States teams, Canadian teams, a lot of the top tier teams, and whatnot, and will draw people in not only for a stretch run in the regular season, but the playoffs, Stanley Cup, hopefully for my local team, the Blackhawks, hopefully again. But yeah, I think it will help the NHL in general. All right, now we get on to the men's game. The semifinal game is the winner of this game, the United States versus Canada, will be playing Sweden on Sunday and Sochi, Russia, and for the gold medal. So this game was obviously the second place game. And it was not what I expected going into this game. I thought the United States had a very, very good chance to win, and they're scoring 5 goals a game on average. Stacked lineup, as every top tier team that I've mentioned before. Every line has an NHL player on it. There's no amateurs on there, obviously, but this game just ended 1-0. The final score, the Canadians. So sorry for the spoiler alert there, but it was a very defensive game. The United States could not get things going. The Canadian team, obviously, are known for their defense. If you look at most recently, the head coach was the head coach from the Detroit Red Wings. So he prides himself on defense, and that was in 2010 in Sochi, in Vancouver rather. So their pride on defense this came over to this game. A lot of help on defense from the defenseman Carey Price from the Montreal Canadiens was excellent. Made himself look big in the net. Was able to stop everything. United States could not get the puck up high onto his shoulder area, onto his upper body to get it into the net, and so they were just unfortunately able to just shoot into his body, which obviously made him look really, really good. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of shocked me a little bit. The Canadian team was having trouble scoring in this tournament. 3.5 goals a game on average. They're again stacked with stars. So very defensive game overall, entertaining, but unfortunately, the United States came out on the wrong end. So yeah, this is my thoughts on that. That's it for this episode of Sports Odds. If you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe, give it a like, and thank you guys for watching this episode of Sports Odds. Have a nice day. Bye bye.